Alex? Were you crying?
I wasn't crying! I was not crying! There was not tears! You have a mohawk! It's 50 degrees, it's weird! His eyes were glossy too!
There you go.
I cried.
The man.
So you did?
Yeah.
You cried.
Yeah.
Wow. What do you guys think?
I think that we're gonna make a lot of people mad. Really mad. Hey, I'm Will Backey from Dallas, Texas. I go to Baylor University. And when I was 8, I went to a Bible camp, and they told me that if I accept Jesus into my heart, he'll build a home there. It's the weirdest thing I've ever heard.
I think 5 weeks was the perfect amount of time
for God to mess up our lives.
Hey, what's up? I'm Alex Carroll. I'm a junior at Georgetown University, and I want to tell you about the verse that seriously messed up my life. It's Matthew 7:22. Many will say to me on that day, Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name, and in your name drive out demons and perform many miracles? Then I will tell them plainly, I never knew you. Away from me, you evil doers. That sucks.
I think the problem is that Christians love talking about change, but we don't actually want to.
Hey, what's up? My name is Matt Owen. I'm a junior at Texas A&M University, and I know I'm a Christian. I just don't know if I'm following Jesus.
Well, and the tough thing is that there's all these preconceived things that we have in our brain. It's impossible to get past our society and our culture and what it means to follow Jesus.
Hey, I am Michael Allen. I am a senior at Texas A&M University, and I had a lot of great plans, but recently Jesus completely ruined them.
Oh my gosh.
Did people not ask y'all that when you got back? Was it, okay, so why'd y'all go to Europe?
I pretty much, the way I usually describe it now is, it was kind of like a sabbatical where we just went and kind of rethought life.
Plus, there's no distractions. Well, I'm just saying, there's no Xbox, there's no movie theaters, there's no girls that speak English. I hated, are your parents, funneling in Highland Park and where we grew up, it's always go to college, go here, get an internship, do this.
What society and what mom, dad, pastor, and friends have expected of us, and the question is, how do we get away from that and really examine ourselves and try to figure out what does Jesus want from us?
Sometimes you just get churched out. You go to Bible study, you go to Bible camp, you just kind of keep doing the same thing, hearing the same sermons, doing the same stuff. Right. So dude, let's just go somewhere else. Just do it. Doing this right, and I feel somewhat pressure, you judging me, afterwards. What do you want me to ask me questions?
Who's Alex Carroll?
I go to Georgetown University, where everyone thinks I'm weird because I talk in a southern accent, even though I don't have one. I like to play sports. I played football in high school. Yeah, I peaked in high school, and it's true. We got in the airport late last night, and we decided that after we got our bags, we were gonna go ahead and try to get some film footage, and there was no one there, so it was awesome. But little did we know, while we were filming, the trains decided to do their last routes.
That shot ended up costing us the last train into London.
So the lady told us, hey, you guys are gonna have to stay here for the night. So we slept in our sleep sacks.
Last night was the most uncomfortable night ever.
And I woke up with a crick in my neck and Matt slobbering on my neck. That's it.
False statement, I was not. Hey, it's my turn. My turn. It's Will's fault that we're not in London right now. But
it's really cold. We didn't really expect that. That's bad.
So we're looking forward to beginning the trip a day later than we planned, but I'm really looking forward to the hour-long train ride to to London we have coming up here in a couple minutes.
That's
so.
a stinker.
Let's see. I'm in the midst of the Dawson's Creek series. I like breakfast taquitos. I enjoy any Shakira music videos, but I don't know where she is nowadays.
Super psyched about the shot, Willie. That was
the best shot.
That was a sick shot.
Gosh, it's so good.
Gosh, in all fairness, I really like sleeping on the cold tiled floor.
It was a whole lot worse than our hostel the next night,
Oh my gosh.
which reeked of urine and groin sweat, feces.
It was a good first hostel because then our expectations were 0.
Alex has constantly asked us why he doesn't have a girlfriend. And to be honest, we don't
constantly ask that.
You've asked that.
Constantly, guys, why don't I have a girlfriend?
Alex asked that one time.
Thank you.
What are we doing today?
Today we're gonna go out and try to figure out a plan for how we're going to be Christians in London. And all the while we're gonna try to be Christians in London.
I don't like cats. I like music. I play guitar. I sing.
It's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sucks. It's hard to talk about yourself.
We're in London.
We are in London. We've got the Piccadilly Circus right here, the Ferris wheel. We've got lots of boats, tourists.
Can I just point out that the Texas Star and Dallas Texas State Fair is a bigger Ferris wheel than this.
Is it bigger than that?
Go Texas! Yeah, it is, right?
Anyway, we've got a castle-looking building. We've got a bunch of boats. Yeah. Right here? That's not it? What's this? Can we just get this out of the way now? I'm not going to tell anybody anything of cultural value in any country we go to. I don't care. You're not going to learn anything from me. Culturally.
I can tell you 10 things about London.
Tell me
right
10
now.
things about London right now.
They
10
hosted
seconds,
one of the
10.
NFL game last year. Well, it doesn't matter. Will didn't even know where Parliament was.
It's the clock.
Where's Ben?
All right. The thing I remember from London was it was the first city that we were like, let's take everything that our parents told us about Christianity and our pastors and everything we'd already learned and knew and had already programmed inside of our heads, let's just put it aside and let's start with nothing. Let's see what people believe about Christ.
Because it's not, well, and you gotta remember, it's not the cool thing to do. Like,
It's like hard for us not to fit into the Christian mold, and they don't have a Christian mold to fit into. It really just allowed us to say, well, maybe we don't have everything figured out like we thought.
Square one.
Honestly, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
So,
Yeah, we're good.
so you guys know any Christians?
I don't think I do.
do you have any friends that are Christians?
Many.
Many? And then are you a Christian yourself?
I was brought up as a Christian, but not now, not anymore.
Not now.
So I'm a Christian. I go to church and I believe in God. Yeah.
No, I do. I think sometimes that a lot of the more moderate Christians are pushed out by over-eager Christians that want to put their voice forward first. I also think that I have no problem with anybody believing in whichever God or whatever they want to do. I do have a problem with the organisation of the Christian church. Any sort of organised religion, I think, is definitely a problem.
If you yourself are a Christian or if you know any Christians?
Yeah, I was.
You were?
A Christian, but I kind of pretty much gave up on religion when my mum died of cancer about 5 years ago. To be honest, amongst the people that we know in London, there really isn't a lot about. In fact, I've got an American mate from Colorado who's definitely, a very sort of devout Christian, but he's definitely plays by the whole rules, but he's breaking them left, right, and centre anyway. So it's kind of a two-faced thing.
Like, it's hard to have doubts about Jesus when everyone else around you is so sure of it.
Yeah, and then when someone asks you, like, why are you a Christian, you're like, you get defensive really quick, because, like, no one ever doubts what you believe.
And then you get to a place where
the majority of people don't believe, and it's hard to be really reassured about, you know, what you believe.
I remember something we talked about in Europe was Jeremiah 17:9. The heart is deceitful above all things and beyond cure. Who can understand it? And it was like we read that and we're like,
That verse confuses me.
I know. You're like, well, follow your heart.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it's like my heart's messed up, and my heart is gonna lead me more away from the truth than toward it. And so like, I guess realizing that and realizing we don't have it figured out, and we need to start from scratch and look at here to actually try and figure something out. I think that the interesting thing about London was we were over there and we're talking to these people about God, and we actually got to have conversations since they spoke English. And God was just such a foreign concept to them. And it just got me thinking, if I grew up in London, there's a good chance I wouldn't be a Christian. So much of it is just what's put into your mind as you're growing up, you know, the culture that you're from.
Okay, so we left London and got on the trains. The boat to
Okay, we took the Trunnel and we didn't get it, so we took the metro to the bus to the train station. No. College kids are better at traveling. I'm not freaking kidding at all. Today we went to the train station. There was no tickets. Most parents were freaked out. A little bit. Just they would have. But you know what we did? We stayed calm, cautious, and collected. We gathered in our thoughts. And we said, what are our other options? So it's Calais, I think. It's Calais. And he said, I can get you into Calais. And we had never heard of Calais until about 5 minutes ago. And as soon as we got our tickets, it takes you to a ferry. And once you get to the ferry, we're expecting a tugboat, okay? So as soon as we pull up to the dock, we look up, and it's a freaking cruise ship. We walk on this tugboat with no plan, and there's food courts, video games, babes. Look at all these girls.
No girls.
Who's laughing now? Who's in the crib? You said that you're like, oh, there's no girls. There was girls.
Well, there was
when I was in the
females.
arcade, they were playing Dance Dance Revolution. One of them had blonde hair, one of them had brown.
It was 14 years old.
Hey, how'd that work out for you?
18 at minimum. Their mom was there putting the coins.
Oh, no.
So Alex got turned down in the bowling alley a couple nights ago. It's the only time this whole trip.
It's an ice cream world, can't you see? It's an ice cream world for you and me.
What happened was we're in the bowling alley, and there's a girl, our waitress named Ella, and so Will starts talking to her and was like, hey, Ella, quick question for you. What's the beginning? Okay, sorry, I didn't say the correct.
No, and
what's the
then-
correct order of the words?
The correct order of the words was, which one would you want to go on a date with?
Okay,
And
that's
then
a lot
she
better. Who would you
followed-
want to go on a date
No,
with?
and then she
Right.
followed and said, well, I don't know because I don't know you guys very well.
Okay, that is the worst English accent ever.
Shut your mouth.
Worst
Paris
accent
girl.
ever. Worst accent
Okay,
ever.
you got me on that. Paris girl went after me.
Done and done. While we were there, I felt like everyone had the nicest cars, nicest stuff on, the coolest necklaces.
I felt like I was being judged for wearing smelly clothes.
Hey, at least we got to see the Eiffel Tower.
Dude, you remember when we went up the Eiffel Tower? No, we didn't.
We didn't do anything.
Because it costs money. You're a makeup artist.
Yes, I am.
So,
People really care about the way they look and what they wear. That was your question. It's a fashion capital, you know. And it's just what you represent is the way, I don't know, is the way you take care of yourself, actually. And I think that clothes, it actually reflects who you are.
Yeah, I think image is important. It's how people judge you. You know, the first impression is something that counts, whether that be good or bad.
So yesterday we had a little weird God incident happen. We were getting out of the metro and we were like, man, we need to go do some kind of talk about materialism. And we got out of the metro, and as soon as we did, this like future car just rides up and parks, and like literally it was the coolest thing I've ever seen. And not only that, but as soon as the guy got out, no one had a clue who he was, but everyone was clapping,
applauding,
like he was a celebrity, and then like literally just a flock of people just came from nowhere and started applauding this car and this person that they didn't even know who he was, and we
taking pictures by the car, they're shooting video by the car.
Yeah, and we're like, that's perfect, because we wanted to find something where people are just obsessed with materialism. So, and then look at all those people taking pictures and filming it, and then we kick ourselves because we ran over to it and we were filming it, and Matt was taking pictures of it. So, perfect for materialism, because we are just as crazy about these stupid worldly things as everybody else.
Because everyone's standing outside the car freaking out, and I thought it was a famous person, but I think it's because of the car.
It is. That's what they said.
How much would you give up to have that car? How much? Or like anything?
1,050,000 euros.
1,050,000 euros? So what would you give up to have that car? Anything like an arm, a leg?
Leg.
A leg? Yes. How much money would you give up for it? I mean, how much do you think it's worth?
Sell at my house.
Sell your house? How many of your friends would you trade for that car?
Probably
all of them.
I think looking at where the problem stems from, it's that we've kind of, you know, God says that He doesn't really care about our outside. He cares about our inside, because I think if you have a clean inside, it'll automatically, your outside will match. You know what I'm saying? But I think we've kind of sort of attached this thing, like if you just like keep God somewhere on your priority list, then you're able to still care about your self-image and looking cool, looking.
I feel like definitely in college this is like a huge topic, because I mean I find myself, you know, sometimes being like, how do I look, like what am I wearing, and you know, you really focus on these really just stupid, insignificant things. And once you're a Christian, like, you don't have to hold on to that.
I think so often we settle for just doing things the way the world does them, when there's an opportunity to do it better.
Yeah, 1 John 2:15. All right. Do not love the world or anything in the world. Okay? If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For everything in the world, the cravings of sinful man, the lust of his eyes, and the boasting of what he has and does, comes not from the Father, but from the world.
Like, Jesus didn't say it's okay to get a lot of sweet stuff as long as God's number one. He said don't get the earthly stuff. Like, do not store up the earthly stuff, because it's gonna lead you away from God.
But it's hard to see that, like when you grow up and every single person has the same crap you have. I mean, why do you know that it's wrong? Like, we've done a horrible job of, like, you know, if we just are content with what we have and we're just like, just kind of ignore that verse and highlight around it, I mean, we're never going to change. No. This is just a topic that I thought I had figured out, and I had this mindset towards it, and then that was it. And it was just going to be hard to convince me otherwise. And it's so hard because I grew up in Highland Park when everyone has everything and everyone's a Christian. So it's like, this has never processed in my mind, because everyone I go to church with rolls up in nice cars. And I'm not saying that that's bad, I'm just saying that it confused me, because the Christian influence in my life was successful people that loved God, that had nice things. So that shaped the way I viewed materialism. I loved having stuff. I have tons of stuff. And I couldn't grasp my mind around the fact that maybe we're not supposed to have all these things for us. Like, maybe we're not supposed to have. That's what made it so hard for me to just open my mind and allow my heart to change. Like, to allow myself to, gosh, because I feel like now there's no excuse anymore. Like, the argument's won on the other side. Like, I don't think it's smart to waste money on stupid crap that you know is not going to last. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not going to struggle with that, and that's not going to be something I need to be held accountable with, but it's something that I feel like the answer is simple, but it just took forever for me to even be willing to change at all. This morning, we went 8 miles out of the way to deliver and drop off Matt's love letter. Our thing is, we try to see who he's writing them to secretly at night. We got this one. This love saga will continue, and we'll keep updating you on the ones we think he's writing to.
Barcelona, Spain. We had to take about 20 minutes yesterday to explain to Alex why Spain is not Mexico and the differences between the two. Matt's been speaking a lot of Spanish.
Bueno, divertido, sí.
I was really excited to get here to speak Spanish, but you know when you like know a language enough to where you think you're good at it, but not good enough to actually apply it? That's where I'm at.
When we walked on that beach, I've never been more caught off guard. We like get off the train, we walk to the beach, and it's like,
I feel like we were like so happy, we were like jumping curves and stuff like that, and we got to the beach like, oh no!
every other nude beach I've been to, it's like old people, and you're like, oh, but like this beach, I was like,
yeah, it's hot.
That's what messed up my world, because that's right, there weren't just
It was all the
naked
hot
old
people.
people, it was like naked hot people.
The one positive about the whole situation, though, is it was very clear to us what we should focus on learning about in Barcelona.
If God ever blatantly said, hey, this is what I want you to talk about, this was it.
Sex and relationships.
All right, so we're here in Barcelona. We're talking about sex, and you know, as I was growing up, my perception was always that sex is evil, sex is bad, which that in fact is not true. I mean, I don't see sex as a problem. Sex is something that God gave us that is a beautiful gift that's supposed to be between a man and a wife. It's that simple. But, you know, sex is distorted in the world's image.
America is all about making sex look awesome and look cool, and they try to sell it to you on everything. Advertisements, billboards, and in movies, the virgin is always the not cool guy, the nerd, and the guy that's trying to have sex.
Alex, you're saying that every virgin that's in a movie is a big loser? Is that what you're saying?
No.
That would make us. What do you think the purpose of marriage is?
Reproduction.
Do you think that premarital sex is wrong?
The what? Sorry?
Premarital sex, like having sex before marriage. Do you think that that's wrong?
No.
No?
Yeah.
No.
What are your views on sex before marriage? Do you think it's bad? Do you think it's good? Do you think it's healthy? Kind of, what's your view on that?
Good.
Normal.
Essential.
It's normal?
Yeah, essential.
There aren't many virgins in England.
This is bad.
Sex is really good, man. You should try it before getting married and like.
No, I know what you mean. Kind of.
Because marriage is like, today the concept of marriage is very changed comparing it to traditional concept of marriage.
Do you feel like religions just are too hard on you guys? Do you feel like your friends that are religious, do you feel like they come down on you way too hard, or they're not understanding, or what's your kind of view on the whole thing?
Well, we've got religious friends are actually really nice and tolerant, but I think they're kind of...
Who are they?
Huh? Well, I've got people in my family that are religious.
Their families. Like, do you know any Christians that hold strong to that?
I don't know. Not really.
I got one more question for
Okay.
you. Okay. When you guys get dressed on a day-to-day basis, does putting yourself off as sexually attractive to a guy, is that on your mind? Is that
No.
Do you think it's important to wait before marriage to have sex?
Personally, no, but I respect the people that do think that. I don't know what to think because I've kind of experienced both views and I have friends that feel both ways. So it just depends on your sex drive, really, I guess. Honestly, like if you, yeah, you've had it and then you.
Do you think Christians have less sex drive?
No, not at all. I would totally respect that. I'm a Christian.
Yeah.
I'm not, okay. Okay, but, oh God, I don't know. There's things that are a lot more strictly, for me personally, that I believe in. But
So do you think sex before marriage is actually a sin?
yes, according to the Bible, yes, I do.
What about for you, though?
For me,
Yeah.
I wish I had waited,
Yeah.
if that makes a difference. Honestly, everyone around me, I think it's who you surround yourself with. I think it's a great situation that y'all are surrounded with friends that believe the same things as you, because I wasn't.
Yeah.
So it's who you surround yourself with, bottom line.
Cool. Well, thank you for talking with us. Appreciate it.
Let's switch real quick.
You switch with him.
I can
give him something easier to read.
I read it earlier and no one said anything.
Dude, let me jump ahead. iPhone Bible app.
Put the full armor of God so that you can take a stand against the devil's schemes.
Do you just read the first thing that you see?
Go on.
Bible app, 1 Thessalonians 4, 3-5. It is God's will that you should be sanctified, that you should avoid sexual immorality, that each of you should learn to control his own body in a way that is holy and honorable, not in passionate lust like the heathen who does not know God.
That's so you, Will.
I think one thing we can't neglect to talk about is dating, you know? Because like I feel like all this stuff about like sexual intercourse in and out of marriage is pretty black and white, spelled out in the Bible, but the Bible doesn't talk about dating necessarily. I guess like when the New Testament was written, that's not really how they did it. There is a godly way to date, and we have a lot of trouble figuring out what that looks like, you know? If the purpose of dating is pursuing a mate, then shouldn't we be wise about like when we start dating?
See, but then everyone's gonna have the argument of, well, then how are you ever gonna know if anyone's the right person if you never date anyone? Like if you never go on dates, like people act different. You know,
Yeah.
everyone's gonna say that.
But then that goes back to like the idea of the one and like destiny on like this perfect person. And I clearly believe that there is not just the one. Like if it's supposed to look like Christ pursuing the church, well, Jesus pursued us, and how messed up are we? Like, are we the perfect one for Jesus? No, not at all. But he picked us out and said, like, I'm going to love you, I'm going to live for you, and die for you anyways.
I think before we are thinking, let's go find the right girl, we need to be thinking, how can God make me into the right guy? You know, like we don't want to find that person and then absolutely ruin that relationship because we weren't the person that we needed to be first.
Matthew 5:28. But I tell you that anyone who looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery with her in his heart. You know, throughout high school, I built myself up in ways of football and social life and other organizations that made me feel better about myself. My relationships with girls quickly changed. I was sexually impure with numerous girls, and once again on the outside I was a stand-up guy. It seemed I was a guy that respected women. At that moment I've never felt more empty in my life, and I just started thinking about my past. I started thinking about how I claimed one thing and completely lived a secret life behind closed doors. Because that emptiness is something that I never want to feel again. Because that was the true instant that I realized that I was not living the life that I needed to live. We all have struggles, and it's about being open with those struggles and struggling with them together. It's like Galatians 6:2 says, carry out each other's burdens in order to fulfill the law of Christ. What more to say than that?
I can sit here and talk to you guys about this stuff, but like we're all single. Like that's the thing about like in junior high, who do you get all your dating advice from? Junior high kids.
Friends.
And like in high school, who do you get all your advice from? Your high school friends. Yeah. And like we're all just a bunch of stupid kids trying to like talk about our opinions. Like, and one thing like I've realized lately is, well, why don't I talk to older people that have been through it and know like what's a good thing to do? You know, like on the other side of it. And I've never met anyone that's been like, well, I wish I would have kissed more people, or I wish I would have gone further with my girlfriends that I had before my wife. Everyone says like, I wish I would have saved it more, or I wish I would have like, I'm so happy I waited, or praise God that we saved a physical relationship for marriage. You know, I've never heard the opposite. So I'm just like, if everyone that I respect that's in a healthy marriage says that, it just seems smart to go with that.
And this is harsh, but like, freaking.
It is different for guys and girls because like, we want it more for like the physical desire, and the girl wants it more for like the emotional attachment.
Well, that's why we talked to those girls. I'm so glad we found them.
Yeah.
I guess they're studying abroad.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I thought that was one of the best parts of that Barcelona city.
Great. That's true.
I feel like there's a pressure in the church to be perfect in general, but also in like with sexuality and with abstinence, I guess. And I feel like because of that pressure that we put on ourselves, and then that I guess we want to look to the outside world like we're perfect, I feel like no one, you know, like no one talks about it. And it's like, I mean, temptation is everywhere, whether you're Christian or not. And so I feel like, I guess everyone wants to be perfect, and so if you do mess up, you don't want to talk about it, and you don't want to, you know, ever let anyone know that you're subject to temptation. So
All right. I struggle with looking at things on the internet that I shouldn't be. I struggle with lusting after girls that I see on campus. I struggle with I struggle with gossiping about girls and their looks with my roommates and my friends. I struggle with comparing girls to each other. So, how's that for being a Christian role model?
I mean, I think it's really important to set boundaries. I think if you don't set boundaries, you set yourself up for a slippery slope. Like, even if you are a Christian, just because, I mean, we are sinners and temptation is like, you know, ever beckoning.
I think we're called, a lot of us, to be single. And that if we realize that being single is beautiful and honorable and a righteous thing, you don't have so many people that are like 30 and insecure about not being married and then possibly get into bad relationships because they think like, this is what I'm supposed to do.
Michael was kind of telling us, like, you know, you can learn so much from being single, and you should just like have joy with that. And me and Will kind of looked at each other and we were like, yeah, he's right, but I want to get married. Like, it's just that simple. So,
No, that's
I don't know.
a
It was
no.
kind of a tough, like Alex said, tough to cope with, but
What's just like that
kinda
knowing?
something- yeah.
Like,
I really knew for a while that the way I was doing dating and my relationships with girls was not good. I dated many girls, and I had physical relationships with girls, and I completely justified why that was good and okay for me. And eventually I got to a point with my girlfriend where I was like, you know what, I've outgrown this. And we were like, we either need to let go of this following Jesus thing or let go of this crappy relationship. And it sucked, and I had to get over that, and we broke up. And it was pretty rough. I won't say that I don't desire to make out with my girlfriend at all. I definitely desire it, but for the first time I was willing to call it sin. And that's often the first step, I think, for us, is if we're willing to call sin, sin. Christ has changed my heart to say, you know what, like, purity is better, selflessness is better. It just completely changes the dynamic of things because it becomes so much less about you and what you want. It becomes about letting Christ build the both of you up and you challenging her and building her up, trying to pursue her the way Christ pursued the church.
Matt started writing letters to this girl starting in Paris. And Alex and I started finding him. Alex, come get in this show with me. I feel like we need to bring this up.
it was just funny because it was kind of like we didn't really know, and Matt was not gonna tell us, so we had to get to the bottom of it quick. Well, I saw Matt kind of writing one, and I was like, "It's the first city. Who writes a postcard in the first city?" I was like, "It's got to be a girl."
That's impressive.
Well, plus he like got the stamps, the postcard, the envelope. That's pretty girly.
Yeah. But we're gonna get to the bottom of this stat. Thank you.
Oh, this just in, Alex is horrible at every language. Okay?
First of all,
I literally...
they make fun of me so much for my language barriers.
He wanted to learn how to say, "You are beautiful," in Spanish, so he could go up to a young lady and tell her that she's beautiful and give her a flower, which that's a nice gesture. I support that. But we literally had to tell him, what, 30 times? Tu eres bonita. 3 words.
All right, listen.
Is that hard? In Espanol.
Eres bonita. You're beautiful.
That's the other thing. Whenever he speaks a
What's up,
foreign
dog?
language, he speaks A, with an Indian accent, which I don't understand, and B, in this like alien tone.
What is the
Okay, so he
alien
said-
tone? That's
Eres bonita.
And that's his foreign accent across the board.
It doesn't sound
for every
like
language.
Eres bonita.
Eres bonita.
I seriously want to talk to the architect of this train because it's way too small. It's poorly constructed. We're lucky because it's 4 of us in the 4-person room, but you have to share a room potentially with people that you don't know and sleep like right next to them. Is that not weird?
Alright, I'm not liking the vibe, so I'm just not gonna say anything.
I'm not doing anything. I hate all of you.
How do you get that wrong?
Okay, so Matt was bragging about his AP Spanish and his Spanish skills. So we're like, oh yeah, go reserve the tickets for us. You got it? We're good.
Matt tried to get tickets to go to Genova, Italy. We ended up in Geneva, Switzerland.
I said Italia, but apparently I didn't make that clear because now we're in Switzerland. Which is nice.
How do you get that wrong?
The ticket booker. Oh shoot.
We're in the process of missing
That's our train.
If you were a melody, I'd sing you all the time. And if your hands are poetry, I'd memorize every line. And if every look you gave me were a different hue or shade of color, I'd learn how to paint you. You know I try, you know I try, you know I try, you know I try.
Alright, we're rolling.
Tonight is a bad night. I left by far the most important thing I was carrying on our train. We got off in a hurry because it was leaving in a hurry, and I, like an idiot, did not think to double check to make sure I had a little pouch like this. It has my passport, a credit card, about $300 cash, and our train ticket that is supposed to be getting us all over Europe. It's not fun to deal with, and I know, the other guys are being good about staying positive, but it's tough to stay positive right now. I don't really have anything else to say. I don't really want to film anymore. Shut it off, please.
Let's talk about when Michael made me want to kill his family. I seriously am
So forgiving, you know?
My mom instilled this into me, and you guys know I asked you every single time, do you have your pouches? And it got annoying, so I stopped asking. I stopped asking for the pouches because I was like, I'm gonna stop being a mom. We're 21 and we're old enough to understand that.
Dude, I'm sorry, I forgot. You guys never make a mistake.
It's gotta be like your baby, dude.
Dude, Michael.
It's like leaving.
Sometimes you leave your baby on the train. Well,
Headed towards Switzerland.
I was pissed.
Okay, you're pissed. We're sitting there, and Michael's like, and he takes off running, and y'all both look at me.
I appreciated your patience at the time.
Thank you. It was all external. Inside, I was pissed. It was all external.
Hey there. We're in Rome. It's a city in Italy. We're at the Colosseum. Famous for Gladiator. We're Russell Crowe stabbed Joaquin Phoenix. Man, we've had a great couple of days. See, Michael lost his identity. The kids are playing swords down there.
We bought Gladiator gear. It's sick. We bargained for.
They're fighting with swords, these stupid sword and armor things, and they're stoked about them. Yeah, we're gonna go to St. Peter's Church, Basilica in Rome, and we're gonna see the Vatican.
Best purchase of the trip, right here.
Discover something new. Discover something. If you give me your hand, we can dance with the band.
Kind of say like from like a historical architectural point of view, like it's awesome, like it's really beautiful. But from a like glorifying God, like while it is like a beautiful building, like I think God would much rather that spent on like helping the poor, or like I think you can put money to a lot better work than like coating things in gold and making things out of marble.
Yeah.
But it is pretty cool, so I'm not going to complain. But I don't know.
I think it's like the same scenario. We got to Rome. We weren't really sure what to talk about. As soon as we'd gotten approached by half a dozen people asking us to go on their tours of churches, we realized that maybe we should be talking about church.
Yeah, and like what stuck out to me immediately is just how different like cathedrals and churches over there were from like the Baptist megachurch down the street from our houses, you know? Like, it got me thinking, well, what is church supposed to look like? How are we supposed to do church?
We're in St. Peter's Square right now. We're hanging out. We just went inside St. Peter's Cathedral, which was legit.
Something we've been just kind of studying about Christianity is Christianity as a religion. And it's my view that Jesus didn't come to earth to establish a new religion. He came to establish a kingdom. And we're at a place now where Christians are the people that Jesus really had a problem with.
It's something that I struggle with like every day. I know that constantly I'm trying to try to make myself feel like a better person to claim that I'm a Christian by what I wear, or for buying something, a wooden cross at like a store. It's just
This seriously, I just was still talking to Michael. Dude, this hits me in the face because this is what happened to me. I went to church, I went to D-Now, I went to Bible study, I did all these things, and I thought I was a Christian. I was like, oh, if I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't have sex, I don't do all these things, then I'm good. I was like, I can do whatever I want. Outside of those things, and if I do them, God will forgive me and I'm okay because I'm a Christian, because I got baptized in 8th grade. And that's missing the point. Like, it's missing the gospel.
We're talking about religion. We're talking about how religion and the gospel and the way we're treating the two today have just kind of deteriorated a little bit. And for me personally, it's almost like there's two different ways the gospel's being preached today in America. On the one hand, you've got this fire and brimstone, stand up on a soapbox and condemn people to hell, but hopefully that brings them to Jesus. I mean, yes, it's amazing that we have this thing, and sometimes we just burst with passion to tell Christ's love, but again, it's got to start with love. You cannot tell non-Christians, look, you guys are screwed up, you guys are making all these mistakes, when they don't even believe in a gospel that recognizes those things as mistakes. The other approach, this one's tough. This prosperity gospel that's kind of coming through today in America's churches, it's basically pulling in people because it's saying, listen, we've got a message that's going to make all your problems disappear. By accepting Jesus, by coming to church, by doing all these good things, your career's going to blossom. You're going to make lots of money. Things are going to start falling your way. And I think that's such a problem with Christianity today our relationship with Christ does not promise us just rainbows every day. We're going to be tested. We're going to have things that we struggle with. I struggle with things every day. I guess what I'm trying to say is if you're going to church to get the encouragement that you're looking for, to keep searching after those worldly things, and you think God is trying to give you those things, you're dead wrong. Why would God want you to go to church to pray and to get close with Him just so you can make more money, just so that your career will give you all the desires of this world that clearly He doesn't want you to need?
And then we're in our churches and it's like you gotta wear the right clothes. You have to act this certain way to be part of this religion. And it's really awesome if we get it, but we don't get it. We build palaces for Jesus and we make gold statues and we put crosses in our yards. We don't get it.
Would you be able to say like, oh, they're Christian by the way that they act?
No, not necessarily.
Not necessarily? No. So
It's just that they're busy on Sundays.
that they're busy on Sundays.
Do they look any different today? Do they have any kind of different routines that separate themselves from
Not
other
when
people?
you're younger, like in our age. Yeah.
Would you guys consider yourself like religious people?
No, not really.
Not really.
My parents don't make me go. I don't have to go.
So someone was like, are you religious? I'd probably say to them, yes, not to confuse them, like, yeah, I have a faith, but I'd be more like, it's more like a personal relationship with God rather than like I follow these, like, I don't know.
I wear a crucifix. I have a patron saint, Christopher, around my neck.
People wear like Stars of David and they really don't know what it represents. Like I said, I'm not very religious. I kind of have my own principles, and as long as I live my own life, helping others and do what I think is right, I don't need, sort of a book telling me.
I guess you can never be sure quite, what they believe, I suppose. I guess, someone could say something and it not necessarily be what they believe. But I suppose I'd say if they believe that, they're sinners and they're saved by grace, and only through Christ dying on the cross are they saved, and not by works, but purely by faith, then I'd say they were a Christian. I mean, I guess that's sort of perhaps, you know, I suppose I've got a slightly different view to the Pope on that one, I guess. But yeah, that's what I'd say was a Christian.
Acts is huge for figuring out what is church supposed to look like, you know. And this is Acts 2:42. It kind of like talks about like the main things the church did when it was first established. It says they had devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching, to fellowship, breaking of bread, and prayer. Like the church is a community of people, and they're doing life together and supporting one another. I spent most of my college church shopping, or church hopping is what most college kids call it. And it's like, the idea is that you look for a church that fully suits you and you just keep hopping around until you find it, and it doesn't really matter if you stick anywhere. More recently, I've really been convicted to get plugged into a church body and stick there, and it's been awesome. Just having different age of people, being surrounded by families and singles and all the different types of people that are in the body has made me grow so much and made me realize we waste so much time if we're not experiencing that.
Alright, so what's up? Alright, so Matt's been sending postcards in like every city that we've been going to. And it's really annoying us because we haven't even sent one. Who are all these postcards going to? I wonder if they're going to one girl. And they are. Matt and Michael just walked down to the train station. They're making reservations for our trip to Budapest. Alex and I told them that we were gonna go over to the motocross thing. The Red Bull's having some deal. And we were like, well, hey, since we're going down there, Matt, why don't I send your postcard for you? Because there's a post office on the way. So I got Matt's postcard. Go put this in the post office. Don't read it. So we're gonna read it for you guys.
Exhibit A. Dear Rome is awesome. It's seriously the coolest place we've been yet. We had a couple of dramatic things happen to us, but we're still having a blast. The Lord has really been there in every aspect of our journey so far. I hope camp is going well, and just know you're in my prayers. Can't wait to see you. Love, Matt. So my theory was, I was trying to justify it for Matt, and I was like, well, maybe she did the usual, like, well, maybe you should send me a postcard in every city, but you don't actually do it.
Because that means that girls just want you to think about on the entire trip that you're on for 5 weeks. It's so stupid. 1 postcard to a girl, that's awesome. 2 postcards to a girl, even better. 3 postcards, I'm borderline creeped out. 4 postcards, Matt?
Too far!
Put you in a friend zone for the rest of your life.
We gotta stop it, so we're going to.
We're gonna try to take every single postcard that Matt tries to send and not send them. By the end of the trip, hopefully we'll have all these postcards. We'll be able to say, Matt, we saved you from this suicide that you're gonna put yourself through. And then you'll be able to be like, yeah, I was a guy, my mind wandered and I had more important things to do. Besides, his mind's getting taken away from the true mission of this trip.
Exactly. So we're helping the trip and we're helping a brother out.
And we're helping you guys out because we're gonna take every single postcard and read it to you.
We can't let a brother go down as a creeper. If you're a girl and you get 11 postcards, it's game over. So you know what? We're gonna keep them in the game.
We're gonna be his best friends right now and take every single postcard, whether you as an audience agree with what we're doing or not. We'll let you know how it goes.
I guarantee you they're gonna be dating by the end of this movie. And if they're not, we're gonna, okay.
We're in our sweet hotel in Hungary, in Budapest. It's a weird place. Everything is in, what's the currency here? Alex keeps calling it canoe news.
Scooby snacks?
Yeah, well, it's not Scooby snacks, but... And it brings us to our point, because what we're discussing here is money and wealth.
Ooh.
And the use of those two. Well, I'll tell you, what are you doing?
I'm about to do something revolutionary. See, we've been saying that we're gonna go wash our clothes for the last 5 days, at least I have been. We have yet to find a laundromat.
One thing that we're going to be doing to challenge ourselves is we're going to do a fast. It's going to start when we go to bed tonight. It's going to end when we wake up, not tomorrow morning, but the next morning. So a full day of no food.
What do you set boxers to in the microwave? It's good.
You're going to go with the popcorn setting. Did anyone else see those sparks? Check that out.
Is it sparking?
It's sparking on the...
Yeah, let's stop now and spark.
Okay, tell them why we're fasting.
Yeah. Tomorrow,
we're going to not eat food, so we're obviously going to not need our money that we budgeted for food. Okay, here he goes again. Instead, we're going to take that money, we're going to find a poor person or someone that needs our help, and we're going to do our best to provide for that person in whatever way.
Rolling? What's up? We're hungry, which is ironic because we're gonna be. We're fasting.
Today we're going to be talking about money and poverty.
The concept of money here in Budapest, sitting outside of Parliament.
First of all, everything's really cheap here, which is good for us. They use a very strange currency here. It's called, what is it called?
The whole issue with money and poverty. Here's the thing, when I got to college, all right, I go to school in Waco, which there's a lot of poor people, there's a lot of poverty. And for a while, it was just kind of confusing because it's like, what is our role as Christians with the poor? It's kind of like we should be providing, money to our brother if they ask for it. But at the same time, it's just money. I mean, yes, money can help. Money is a great thing to give. And if that's all you can do, if that's the best you can do, then that's great. That's the best you can do. What we're doing is we're trying to challenge you to do something more than just give money. Try to influence people yourself.
It's about having joy in serving others, which is something that I personally have lost. I know a lot of others have lost sight of.
What I believe is that we so often we make extreme poverty the enemy. And extreme poverty is what we have to deal with, and if we deal with it right, we can make it go away. But one thing we forget so often is that extreme wealth is just as deadly for our society. But I'm talking about myself too. So many of the things that I just don't even think about on a day-to-day basis, I'm really trading my satisfaction and my comfort for someone else's oppression or distress.
I still cannot grasp in my mind that no one else speaks English in other countries. I still feel like, you gotta know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I don't know why, it's so ignorant in American.
Hey, why don't you speak American?
We woke up, we were fasting, and we were going to sacrifice something for God. We were just like, let's just do it. And we didn't think about the language barrier between homeless people. We didn't think about anything. And we walked out, and we went to the metro. We're walking through the metro, and we turn the corner, and we see a bunch of beautiful ballerinas. That was awesome. But anyways, we saw these ballerinas, and we look in the back, and there's a banner, and it's in Hungarian, and in the bottom right-hand corner it says Jeremiah 29:11. And we kind of looked at each other like, what the freak is that? Why does it say Jeremiah 29:11 and they're doing a ballet recital? So we went over, and all of a sudden the ballet recital ends, and this girl gets up on the mic, and we're like, what's this girl going to say? And she starts giving her testimony in English, and then this guy is translating. And we're like, wow, that's the coolest thing ever. We're in the middle of a Hungarian metro, and just randomly this girl is giving her testimony. So we're like, that's awesome.
The conversation with the ballerinas, it was stupid how unfair it was for us. Because here we are, four American guys, four college guys, we walk in this metro and this flock of ballerinas are dancing and praising the Lord and spreading the gospel. And here we come with camera gear, and they're like, oh my gosh, American guys, do y'all want to hang out? And we're like, this is the best day ever for them to ask that question, because we're like, well, we're actually going to clothe the homeless and hang out with them, help them out, so we can't. And then they set up another one. They're like, well, do you guys want to eat dinner with us? And we're like, we can't. We're fasting for the Lord. It's not even fair.
Long story short, we talked to them. We talked to the guy who was translating for him. His name was Victor. He was awesome. And we asked him, hey, we can't talk to these homeless people. We can't relate to them because we don't speak Hungarian and we have no idea how to talk to them. So can you come with us and hang out with homeless people? And Victor was like, dude, I'm down.
Look, it's the sun.
Victor just had such a servant's heart. He walked with us all day. We got to hang out with homeless people. We got to just serve them and give them what they needed.
We got to take them to buy new clothes. We got to help them get a new bag. We got them some new shoes and like all that money that we had.
Not just any shoes.
Skechers.
Skechers.
All that money that we would have used for food that day, like bought all that stuff. And I think that was the point, was to see like, okay, our money that we put towards food for one day could go so far. Here we're in America and we have this image of who we think God is. You know, at some point or another, I think for the four of us, there's at least one moment where God just punched us in the face and revealed himself to us, and we've been trying to chase after him. And here's Victor, this guy who is straight out of a Nirvana music video with long hair, and all the way across the world, he's having the same vision of God. And that was what hit me, is like, oh my gosh, like God is so much bigger than Waco, Texas. He's so much bigger than Dallas, Texas. He's so much bigger than like the bubble that I've made for myself in my world. And one of the coolest things he said was, well, he hung out with us all night, and then he wanted to hang out with us like the next day before we left. And before we left, he said, all right, well, I'll see you guys later. And I was like, what do you mean? You come to the next city with us? And he was like, no, I'll see you guys in heaven. And when he said that, like, he had just like the biggest smile on his face ever. And like, to me, I was just like so pumped, because he was so right. Like, I'm gonna see Victor again in heaven. And, like, that's how big God is, and that's when God, like, I guess revealed to me just how big his plan is, and how, even though I don't see it, like, here's a guy on the other side of the world that's living out the same calling that I think the four of us are trying to live out. So it's definitely a cool experience.
So how do you tell someone who has everything that it's worth nothing and you need to give it all up and follow something that you can't even fully understand?
Well, Jesus says, like, where your treasure is, your heart will be also. So I think we can apply that and say, well, if we have all this earthly treasure, that's probably where our heart is. So we can probably assume Jesus is asking us to give it up, to follow him, because, like, it holds our affections. You know?
I know this kind of goes back to like possessions and stuff like that, but I think it's also the same thing with money. Like, if we build up a lot of money for ourselves, that's also us saying that, like, we're putting our security in that money. And is it weird for us to be like, oh, you should give up all your money so your security's in God and that's going to take care of you? Well, yeah, that freaks us out, and that's radical, and that makes us nervous, because we're like, well, I have lots of it and I'm being safe and secure. And I think there's a lot of people that argue that that's a good idea, but at the same time, like, if your security's in your money, then it's the same thing. Your treasure is here.
This whole poverty thing, like, we make this, like, poverty thing the issue, and it's like, oh, let's build wells in Africa, and let's send money to India or wherever and help the poor people. But we're still sitting in our comfortable places, writing checks and not really investing any of ourselves into them. And what can change is that the poor people can become our friends. If we do that, the poor people's problems become our problems. Because, like, if my best friend is struggling through life and needs some help, I'm not just going to let him wander around, you know, just hopeless. If you look at Jesus, he was friends with the people that realized they needed him.
I hate that, like, in my mind, I think that, like they just didn't take advantage of their opportunity, or it's their fault they're in that situation. Like, they could go get a job, they could do this. And I'm like, I didn't choose to be born into, like, a loving family with, like, being blessed with tons of things that I don't deserve. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I think we need to drop the whole argument of what do we deserve? Like, oh, they don't deserve to have my help because they don't want to help themselves. Like, screw that idea, because God helps us and we don't deserve anything from him.
Yeah,
we sin every day against him and he still gives us stuff. So drop that opinion immediately.
Like, if some homeless guys come up to me, he's like, hey, can you spare some change for a bus ticket? They always use the bus ticket thing. I'm like, you always are leaving. Everyone's always leaving, but you see them the next week, so they haven't left. But anyways, so, like, some guy came up to us in the metro station, and it's like I was with a bunch of girls, first-time metroers. I don't know what that means, but we're sitting there, and this guy comes up, he's like, dude, he's like, can I spare some change from you guys? He goes, you guys don't need it. I was like, that's true. I was like, but dude, why don't you just come with us? He's like, what do you mean? I was like, we're going to eat pizza, just come eat with us, just hang out with us. And he was like, didn't want to go. Like, he just wanted our money. So, like, that's what I'm saying, like you said, make it personal, like, come hang out with us, and that's when you can witness to them and give them
treat
stuff.
them like a person,
yeah.
not charity.
It's not like, here's everyone, you see people get out their wallet and like hand them $2 and then you feel better. That's what we're talking about when you feel better about yourself.
Right.
Come hang out with us.
I feel like the biggest hypocrite here because I'm just like talking about, do this, and I start to search for my own life. I'm not doing it. I'm really not.
So what needs to change? Like, what do we? I mean,
we need to stop just being little girls. But
that honestly is probably the best wisdom.
But I'm not even kidding, because when you look down upon it, or when you look at it from an outside perspective, like, we're just being huge wimps. It's not like Christians are sitting out here and like Christians can't be successful businessmen and make money.
Yeah.
It's just what we do with the money.
Probably the freakiest part of the trip was I had my camera and I put it on the train. I was really good about keeping it with me at all times, and all of a sudden we start walking. I look down, my camera bag's not there. I look to Michael, he doesn't have it. I look to Alex, he doesn't have my camera bag. And of course Will doesn't have it. So I freak out. I literally dropped my backpack and ran. All my pictures from the trip were on that camera. I was gonna leave with that train because I was gonna get my camera. But I got it. It's fine. So we're good.
So
Vienna.
No, okay. Another good thing about Victor.
Victor
Was that he hooked us up with a sweet place to stay in Vienna.
Johnny K. Palmer.
Number 11, Austria Idol contestant.
I thought he was 4th.
No, he's 11. Apparently, the top 12 in Austria Idol over there, you get to go on tour.
J.K. Palmer.
We saw
Johnny K. Palmer. Yeah.
I don't wanna hear any one of those useless excuses. I fell in love. All that you say don't mean a thing. All of your words sound dead to me. Don't you know that it burns?
How is a Christian supposed to be a part of, supposed to engage entertainment, in a way that glorifies God? Because it just seems like impossible in our culture.
What is entertainment?
And then it messed us up.
Okay. We are here with Johnny Palmer, right? Known by many as Austrian Idol superstar.
What do you view as your personal responsibilities as a Christian throughout this whole process?
Yeah, well, I think my responsibility as a Christian is to do the same thing that Jesus did, just to be out there with sinners and show them that there is another way. It's a good thing, to encourage the church and encourage the body of Christ, but I think we're not going to reach people if we don't go out to where the people are.
Has there ever been a time where you had to sacrifice though? Like maybe someone wasn't a big fan of some things you're doing, or maybe where you could have gotten ahead, but you chose to do something differently because you're Christian and it maybe cost you something?
Yeah, well, this whole Starmania TV show thing I was on, I was the 12 finalists, and there was this big celebration. Okay, it's the finalists, and we get to go on tour and everything, and we get a lot of media exposure. We're in this big hype, and everyone's having their home stories where check out your family and your dog and whatever. And they asked me, I was engaged at that time, and somehow the question came up with, sex before marriage. And I was like, yeah, I'm a virgin. And
there it is.
Yeah, and that was it just didn't fit with their mindset, and that was really, and so I had a lot of negative media response on that. And the next week, I got voted off the show. So, and really everyone in my surrounding, Christians and non-Christians, everyone kept saying, yeah, it wasn't the right timing, and it was a mistake to share that,
Yeah. Do you regret it?
And I don't regret it because at first, it started nagging at me that maybe it was a mistake. And after the show was over, I had 2 full stories in a lot of magazine interviews
Wow.
and a lot of press coverage, much more than the winner actually of the casting show.
Wow.
So, and it's just another example of God's faithfulness. That's pretty cool.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
We're in Vienna, Austria.
Okay, hey, what's up? We're in Vienna, Austria, hanging out in the MQ on these sweet banana boats. That's right, they have big yellow banana boats in the middle of this square called the MQ. We don't think about all the media, the movies, the music, and everything that we do every day, how much time we spend doing that, and how it really does affect us, or does it affect us?
Okay, so what's radically different about being a Christian and dealing with entertainment than if you're not a
Versus
believer?
not being, yeah. Because your intentions are different, or they should be different.
They should be different.
Are your actions different too?
Yeah.
We attach different intentions to things, but do we see different movies? Do we listen to different music?
No.
You can't just be and I'm not saying you're saying this, you're asking a question, but I don't think you sit at home and, reject everything around you and sit there with your Bible and that's about it.
Well, I'm just saying what should be our motivation.
I mean, I know the Bibles, I know the Sunday school answer.
What's that?
No.
Glorify God in all of our decisions?
Yeah.
Okay, so what does going to see a movie to glorify God look like?
That's the biggest thing, is we're bringing Jesus into the equation. We're bringing Jesus into a place of our lives that we don't normally talk about. And maybe that's the most important thing, is making him a factor. Like, if I went and saw Superbad with my roommates, which I did, for the next month or two, we quoted that movie. Our humor was like that. It was more sarcastic. I know that my humor gets shaped by the movies that I watch. If they're funny and they're catchy and they have good one-liners, I quote it, and people will not see that there's
And sometimes people think that movies don't affect us. They're like, oh, well, it's just a movie. And then
I say that. Yeah,
no, we said that, and then we found ourselves quoting different movies. So they obviously affect the way that we speak.
Yeah.
There's some things that are beneficial to do, and movies are art, music is art, and I think God created creative expression in us, so that's a good thing. But we need to submit that to God, engage the culture with the gospel, rather than letting that invade our lives and just take advantage of our sinful natures and promote our sin,
This is the hardest topic ever for me. I love movies. I mean, I fill a lot of my time up with watching movies and studying them, and it's become my passion. And I don't want to give that up. There's so much of me that's I can learn from that stuff. I can see those movies and take something away that's going to help me with movies later down the line, and I should be able to see it. Get past all the crap. Get past all the explanations and all the justifications for everything that you do, and get down to, is this beneficial to God? Because if it's not beneficial, then you're clearly living out your own agenda. And that's what I was doing. And it sucks. It sucks so bad to know that you need to change and you're not there yet where you have, and you're just what the crap am I going to do? How am I going to do this? And if you really do feel like there's something wrong in your life that you've closed your hand to God, get friends that are going to make you open it and talk about it.
Does this mean we can't see Avatar?
No, we're seeing Avatar.
Amen to that.
The important thing is to love me when your love's all gone.
We just got on a metro on Impulse. We have no idea where we're going.
The important thing is to let me love
Are we rolling?
you.
Alright, so Matt's in the shower. I don't really need a whisper, but Matt's in the shower. Oh, here we go. Love saga continues. Dear. Hey! Exclamation point. How's camp? This trip has gone by so fast. It's crazy to think that I'm already gonna be coming home in less than 2 weeks! Exclamation point. Sorry if I missed a couple cities. We've just been having a blast! Exclamation point. There's 3 exclamation points. Anyways, I'll keep you in my prayers. Miss you, in him, Matt. He's gonna be like, guys, have you seen my postcard? I'm gonna be like, what postcard? I don't have a postcard.
We're in Munich, Germany. It's the beer capital of the world.
Beer cat!
There's only 3 of us right now. Will's filming. We're sitting here, and Matt's back at the hotel, barfing. barfing
and diarrhea.
because we made the poor decision of going to get all you can eat Chinese food. It was $6.50, which is a good deal, right?
And it
Wrong.
included a drink.
Yeah. 10 minutes later, Matt's puking in the restroom.
We've all taken massive.
No, we're not gonna say that. No,
Can't say that.
We're not gonna let Matt hold us back. We're going out to the pub crawl.
Tell them where
We're
we're
at the
going.
locals party. Tell you a little bit more about the Insomniac tour. I'm gonna give it to Alex Carroll, and he's gonna read it in his frattiest bro voice.
All right, listen
that
here,
he can
bros.
conjure.
Listen here, bros. Disclaimer. Taking part in this tour is done at your own risk. My Munich tours accept no responsibility for the following: puking, passing out, stumbling and falling, waking up in the wrong bed, or anything that might occur from having excessive fun.
As Christians, how should we approach alcohol in college? Because it's one of the hardest things ever, whether you do it or you don't.
Here's the thing. It's a tough topic, okay? And there's a lot of interpretations of how we should do things. What we're gonna do is we're gonna look at both sides of the issue, and we're going to try to remove the other biases that we have, mainly being a college student in a college atmosphere. We're gonna try to figure out what is the best way a Christian can handle alcohol.
And it's hard because college has a stigma that when you go to college, you drink.
Good vocab, stigma.
Stigma. So we figured a pub crawl would be the perfect place to interview people about beer.
You make me happy when skies are gray. You make me useless when you're away. You make it better.
Oh, I already forgot your name.
Michael, sorry.
Michael,
Yeah.
okay.
Do you guys drink?
Yes, we do.
Awesome. We're in the beer capital of the world, I guess. So, why do you guys drink?
Why?
Yeah.
Because
going out is more
yeah.
fun with drinking.
I got you.
Because it's more fun when you're together and you drink than just to drink some apple juice or something. It's more fun to drink beer together. And
No, to be honest, like I don't know, we have a good time, like university life. I don't know.
Why, I guess why did you choose to start drinking? Like, what was that?
because all of my friends
Peer
were
pressure.
drinking.
Peer pressure?
Yes.
Not
peer pressure,
I wouldn't even say that. Like, I mean, it's not like we get wasted every night.
Do you guys have any, like, Christian friends, or do you know any Christians
I
at
think
all?
we know Christians, but not as strict as they don't drink.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, like,
One
Yeah,
Muslim
one
friend.
One Muslim friend.
She
Is
doesn't
there-
drink, but
is there any difference in the way the Christians that you know handle, like, that alcohol subject as opposed to anyone else?
Not Christians.
Okay.
What?
Tell me how you feel, man. You're sick.
I feel terrible. I read Jesus for
Why are
President.
your sleeves up?
Then I played about 10 games of chess on the computer, and I'm still terrible at it.
That sounds awesome.
It was great.
Sounds really fun. Crosstalk. We're cross-talking about alcohol.
Personally, is
Hang on. Maybe you should put a shirt on.
Is it
It's
too-
just a little probably distracting.
Put a shirt on. You don't want Christian girls stumbling.
You're
And
right.
make me look terrible, so thank you. Appreciate it.
Dude, you've been doing push-ups every night.
Whoa! Hey, you.
All right, so we're talking about alcohol. Personally, it's a really tough subject because God did not make alcohol a struggle for me, and He made a million other things a struggle for me. So, kind of, it's a good thing and it's a bad thing because automatically when I talk to anyone about alcohol and I say that I don't drink, it's automatic. He thinks I'm better than, or he thinks that he's above me, or he thinks he's better than me because he doesn't drink. I'm like, yeah, that's how I used to think until I became a Christian. Or truly became a Christian. And as I've truly become a Christian, I mean, how hypocritical would it be of me to judge someone else because their sin is more public than my sin?
I think drinking was the first thing that kind of stood out to us because, I mean, at least for me, I go to a university where it's a Baptist college, and most people I know are like, yeah, I'm a Christian, and everyone is involved with like 3,000 or 4,000 like Bible studies and things that they help out with. And I think that's what prompted me to even do this trip, make this movie. Is, you know, we look at the fact that we all call ourselves Christians and because we're involved with all these things, but then we look at the way we act on weekends, and it's like, how Like, how do we act any different than people that don't call themselves Christians or in college?
Yeah, God put alcohol on this earth so we could, have a couple drinks, but are we being responsible with it? Well, no, we aren't. It's together as a whole, no, we aren't.
I think we miss the point a lot of times too, is that like Michael hit on this earlier, like the alcohol itself isn't evil. It's like what college kids do with it that's the bad part, which would be like your motivations, your intentions behind it for why you're drinking. I feel like every person, even Christians, like different Christians have a different view on alcohol, and I feel like it's so easy to look in scripture and it says what it is.
I think the thing about alcohol that like we don't put it in this context enough and realize it, but it is the #1 idol in the college atmosphere. Like, can we all agree on that?
Cheers.
But it's not our job as Christians to police the rest of the world and try to like rid the world of evil. If you don't get the foundation that we're sinners and that Jesus died for us and has a new plan for our lives, why the heck would you understand when someone tells you you're sinning by getting drunk all the time? Yeah. Like, don't try to police the world. Like, yeah, encourage your friends to make good decisions, but like, don't try to beat your beliefs about these specific things into them because they don't get it.
We were talking about this the other night though, because if everyone's doing this, Christians I feel like should provide an alternative. Like, dude, we're going to listen to Sandstorm and drive through the McDonald's drive-thru. That's an alternative.
That's the point we're trying to get across here.
But we didn't. It's true though.
It's not like we do that,
As
though.
Christian men in college, alcohol is idolized more than anything else in college. So we need to provide an outlet for alternatives.
Yeah.
So whatever that may be, bowling or whatever.
And enough frisbee. Let's just cut that out.
Yeah,
no more frisbee.
Seriously, Will, it is like the most impactful. Like, it is, like, think about all of your strength going into a punch with your hand wide open. You'll be dead for about 4 hours. It hurts. I was crying last time.
Okay.
Perfect for film.
Well, talk me out of it. You ready?
Hold on.
Dude, just give me real fast, please.
Oh my gosh. Alright, Matt.
Hey, if I cry, it's not going on camera.
Oh god.
Look at it or
You
not?
have to get this. Is
Did
the
you
mic
look at
on?
it? Did you look back?
What?
Did
I
you
know,
look
you
back?
don't look. Look forward.
Oh my
we good?
gosh.
Yeah.
Wait.
Oh!
Why would you do that?
I want something in my teeth. I feel like your hand's still on me. Oh. Oh. Yeah.
Are you okay? Are you okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, my hand's killing me.
Lucerne was an awesome last city to go to because it was so just gorgeous and peaceful, and we just we were there for a few days and we spent most of the time just kind of going off by ourselves, praying, recollecting on the trip, and just thinking about what God had taught us and really committing ourselves to actually change the way we hope to. We kind of capped it off by going up to the top of Mount Pilatus, which was, I kid you not, the most gorgeous place I've ever been.
Things are not going well with the postcards.
No.
I'd say overall Lucerne was just a place where we could reflect and a place where we could truly grasp what we had just taken from this trip. And so we went back to the old bridge and gave our final thoughts.
It's been quite a roller coaster, and it was life-changing to say the least.
And what God has, given me, and what I hope, the four of us and you can take away from this is radically, and I don't mean that as a term to put emphasis. I mean it literally, radically embrace this vision for the world that God's given you.
I guess the last thing I want to say is, if you're a Christian and you're out there and things are hard and you're not sure if you're going to make it, you're not sure if this is for you, you're not sure if you can handle the world, and it's hard, I just want you to know that we are right there with you. And we are struggling with the same temptations as everybody else in this world. But just like you, we're living for something much bigger than ourselves. And I think it's going to pay off.
It's been a heck of a trip, and I'm going to miss it here, but I'm excited about getting back and living this life that, I've discovered that is going to be a struggle, but overall, it's going to be good.
The tough thing is that you can take these different aspects and you can boil things down to certain points and certain decisions that we can all agree it's beneficial to make these certain choices, and that maybe we can say, well, these things are definitely sins and these things are definitely right, but it's really all worthless, and it's really all just religion, just like any other religion. And if that's what Christianity is do's and don'ts, and this is okay and this is not, then we're really no different. We're not trying to create a better version of the present world. We're not trying to rid the world of evil. We're not trying to force people to become righteous, but we're trying to show people there's a better way to live. There's a better way to do things. Because that's what Jesus told people. There's a better way to do things than you're doing now. The only catch is it's backwards from everything you've ever known.
All right, something that's been on my heart for, I guess, ever since I think I really became a Christian, which was, I guess, maybe beginning freshman year of college, is I sit in church and I listen to the pastor, and he always does it like his voice will change and everyone will get serious, and he'll start talking about, hey, if you're out there and you're not saved and you don't know Jesus, just say this little prayer with me. That's all you have to do. That's where I was. In 9th and 10th grade, I was like, oh, well, I'm a Christian. I said my prayer in 9th grade at Bible camp, and oh, so I'm saved. That's not it. It's not just saying one little prayer and you're saved. When you're saved, you're reborn, you're a different person, you see things from a different perspective, and you're gonna bear fruit that's gonna help other people, and you're gonna live your life differently. And it's not about America's view on Christianity and, go to church, do this, and you're a Christian. That's not it. That's not it at all. But I just want him to add, after that little statement that says, all you have to do is say a little prayer, and then right after it just say, and it's going to be the hardest decision you've ever made in your entire life. I mean, think about it. You're giving up your life to, you're handing your life over to God. You're not just doing what you want to do and picking out parts of the Bible that you want to follow. You are completely surrendering and humbling yourself before God and changing your life. And it's the best decision you'll ever make. But just add that at the end. Don't just make it to where people who just came to church sit up there and they're like, oh, all you have to say is a prayer? That's sweet. I want to be a Christian. Oh, it keeps you away from hell? Okay, I'm in. And I know I'm coming off harsh, but crap, the scariest thing in the world today is that there's hundreds of thousands of Christians walking around thinking that they're saved because a pastor told them that. And that that breaks my heart. And if you're truly a Christian and you're truly trying to distinguish your lifestyle from this world, it's gonna suck. And it's gonna be hard. And you're gonna get made fun of. You know, but it's worth it. I mean, from anything I've learned on this trip, it's like things go by fast. Like these little stupid things that we fill our hearts up with that are just short-term fulfillments, like they end and we're just gonna want more. And I don't even know what I'm saying anymore, but I love you guys.
Hey, Alex. Were you crying?
I wasn't crying! I was not crying! There was not tears. You have a faux hawk! It's 50 degrees, it's windy! His eyes were glossy too!
No, there you go.
Cried.
Man.
So what do we do now? Friends? Do you have any friends that are Christian? Yeah. Would you say like their lives are distinguished from other people's? Like would you be able to say like, oh, they're Christian by the way that they act?
No, not necessarily.
Not necessarily. No. So you
It's
don't-
just that they're busy on Sundays.
that they're busy on Sundays.
You know, you can go on trips like this and feel so confident in all the decisions that you make, but eventually, you've got to come back home.
You know, I guess we went to Europe because we sensed there was sort of a problem in American Christianity, and sometimes it's difficult to see how to solve a problem when you're sitting right in the middle of it.
Yeah, I was mad about the postcards. I was really mad. Postcard girl didn't quite work out, but we're friends. We're still really good friends. We just and that's where I wanted to be. Is friends.
I'm just trying to think of all those conversations I've had with Georgetown kids where like they don't want to follow Christianity because of Christians, like because of us. Like their sole purpose for not following Christ and not going to church is because all their friends that go to church like don't look any different from anyone else.
You know, and you grow up in church and you always hear, like, beware of drugs and sex and alcohol, and, you know, we point our fingers at all these different things, but maybe we should be pointing the finger back at ourselves. You know, maybe it should be beware of Christians. You know, beware of people like us that we know how to say all the right things, but we have a really tough time giving our whole lives to God.
Because it really doesn't cost you anything to know how you're supposed to live or to talk about it, but it costs you a lot to actually do it.
And it's really easy in college to go with the flow and do everything everyone else is doing. But if we're going to proclaim to love Jesus and want to follow him, then our lives better reflect that. And as watered down as the gospel's gotten to where it's go to church and do these certain things, like we have to change. Like we have to live out what we're saying and what we are trying to pursue.
The more that I try to glorify God with my life, the more I realize how much I suck at it. But at the same time, it showed how much God had to love me to send his only son to die for me. And that's pretty cool.
You know, and the bottom line is I'm not perfect. I'm not gonna have all the answers. and I screw these topics up all the time. The crazy thing is that God loves me anyway. I mean, despite all the crap that I do, He loves me. I mean, that's crazy. And it's crazy that I'm just now figuring out what that means.
My eyes are getting heavy. My vision is gray. But I enjoy your company and how you love me this way. You don't have to say a word. You don't have to say a word. You don't have to say a word, just stay. Stay. Just stay. Just stay. And why this heart, you keep it beating? Why this soul, you keep on breathing life into me? You think I'm worthy of another day? Sing with me symphony, rejoice with me parade. Spill your bright color on me, shine on my face. You don't have to say a word. You don't have to say a word. You don't have to say a word. Just stay. Stay. Just stay.